Moving on to round 9 in the Championship. After round 8, we got one score correct thanks to a 95th minute equaliser from Huddersfield against Coventry. New boss Darren Moore had his first game. It's a good point to get. Coventry are drawing a lot of games at the moment, which is why I went for that result, that score, and I got it correct. So very happy with that. Wishing I could have got some more, but let's see if we can get some here. Make sure to like and subscribe, and let's get into my predictions. The only team without a win, Sheffield Wednesday, face Sunderland. Now Sheffield Wednesday, 2 draws, 6 losses. They are struggling. As I said, they're yet to get a win, and they really need to pick up the pace soon, as they are 4 points from safety already after 8 games, which is a little bit of a worry. You do kind of fear that if they don't pick up that win within the next kind of 5 games, that they will start to be slipping quite far adrift. Sunderland were in great form, 5 games unbeaten with 4 of them being wins, but they lost their last one 1-0 against Cardiff. Whether Sunderland will be influenced by that much, I don't think they will. Sunderland had plenty of chances that game, plenty of the ball. Cardiff just got one break and scored it, and they just dug in deep. So I think Sunderland will be unaffected and manage to get a win here, 1-0. 2 sides that just came down, Southampton and Leeds, is our early kick-off on Saturday. Now the Saints have had a tough start. First 4 games they were unbeaten, but the next 4, lost all of them, the longest losing run in the Championship. They are really struggling, and Middlesbrough got their first win last time out against Southampton. So that kind of shows you how poorly they're doing at the moment, and they need a quick turnaround. Leeds, great form, unbeaten in 6, only lost 1 this season, 4 clean sheets in a row, and they beat Watford 3-0 in their last match. Leeds have started to pick it up quite well. Everyone's gelling together, and I think they're now going to fly this season. Leeds to win 2-0. Bristol City against Stoke, and the home side were on a 3-game unbeaten run before losing 1-0 to Leicester thanks to a Jamie Vardy penalty. I don't think that's going to change much, as most teams will lose to Leicester this season. Stoke, not great at all at the moment. They haven't won in 5, losing 4 of those. They lost 3-1 to Hull at the weekend, and they just look very, very poor, despite a decent start. So I think Stoke, I've predicted them wrong again, as I always go over on them. They're probably going to be a lower mid-table side this season again, which is very unfortunate for their fans. But for this one, I think I can see Stoke getting back into the points, so I'm going to go 1-1. Cardiff against Rotherham, a perfect week for Cardiff, all 9 points. Didn't see that one coming, and they were one of only 3 teams to do that, with Ipswich and Leicester being the other 2. Cardiff, they managed to beat Swansea, Coventry and Sunderland. 3 very good results there, and I didn't see it coming at all. Cardiff, they look a lot better than I think most people thought they would this season, and if they continue the way they're going at the moment, they will be fine this season, easily around mid-table, which is pretty good considering their ownership isn't great. Rotherham, they didn't have a great week, 1 point. It was a draw against Preston, however, who were the leaders at that point, so good point for Rotherham to take. They'll hope they can build on it, but I do see Cardiff going 4 in a row with a 2-1 win. New Huddersfield boss Darren Moore got off to a decent start with a 95th minute equaliser against Coventry to get his first point as the Huddersfield Town boss. Now, they were on an unbeaten run of 3 games anyway, so they have carried on that form, but they've got a bit of a tougher test here as they're facing Ipswich. 7 wins out of 8. 4 wins in a row. They are flying at the moment. They beat Blackburn 4-3, and I think it's going to take some going to manage to get anything against this Ipswich side for Darren Moore. So unfortunately, in only his second game, I am going to go for a loss. Ipswich to get all 3 points in a 2-1 win. Interesting game now. Hull against Plymouth. Hull, very good form. 7 unbeaten. only lost one, it was on the opening day, and 4 of those are wins, 3 draws, including a win against Leicester. Leicester's only points dropped this season was against Hull, and a draw against Leeds, while Leeds are in good form. So Hull are really surprising this season. Brilliant start from them, and they are sitting in the playoff positions at the moment. Plymouth, what a weekend for them, beating high-flying Norwich 6-2 at home. Didn't see that coming at all. Plymouth, however, they do look like a side that are very strong at home, scoring 9 in their last 2 home games, but not great away, losing 2 in a row and conceding 6 in those 2. So I think it's going to be a story of home and away this season for Plymouth. Very good at home, very poor away, but hopefully for them, their home form pulls them comfortably to safety. However, they are away here, so I will go for Hull to win 3-2. Millwall versus Swansea. Very inconsistent season so far from Millwall, with 3 wins, 2 draws, 3 losses. They drew 0-0 with West Brom in their last one, not full of goals at the moment, and just very hard to read in general. Swansea haven't had a good start at all, but they are unbeaten in 2, and they picked up their first win at the weekend, 3-0, against another side that hadn't got a win, Sheffield Wednesday, leaving the Owls as the only side without a win. So Swansea will be hoping that they can carry that win on now and build something. And with Millwall being very inconsistent, it might not be a bad game to try and carry on that run. However, I just think Millwall have slightly more quality than Swansea, and they're at home. I've just got that feeling every time Millwall are at home, it's going to be a low scoring game and they'll either win or draw, unless they're up against one of the best teams in the league. So I'm going to go for Millwall to win it 1-0. 2 sides that have struggled since the international break. Norwich against Swansea. Now, Norwich were flying at the start of the season, but they lost 2-1 against Rotherham just before the international break, and since coming back, they've played 3, won 1, lost 2. So not great from Norwich. The goals don't seem to be flowing at the moment, and they lost 6-2 against Plymouth at the weekend, a massive loss that I did not see coming at all. I'm wondering whether Norwich are going to be able to find their previous form, but I'm hoping they don't do it in this game. Blues, we were unbeaten in 5, only dropped 4 points up until the international break, and since we've came back, 2 losses and a draw against QPR. We've played pretty well in the games that we've struggled in, so Watford had draw written all over it, but we got a man sent off at the end and they nicked 2 goals in extra time, injury time. It wasn't really, a draw would have been fair. Preston was a game we should have won, but we managed to lose 2-1, even though they created 1 good chance all game. And then QPR at the weekend was probably the first game this season, I'd say. We shouldn't have really won. We were pretty poor in. I wasn't very happy with it. I'd say that 0-0 was fair. So, not great from us. The performances are there. And I did see a table saying that based off of XG, for and against, we'd actually be second in the league because we have some good chances created for us and we don't have any chances go against us. We just aren't very good at both ends when it comes to being clinical or keeping the ball out of the net, which is a shame. But in terms of creating and conceding chances, we're pretty good. So I'm hoping that we can get that going a bit more soon. As for the prediction, I am going to go for a draw. It's quite an optimistic one from me because I'm not too up on it, but I'll go 1-1. Next up, Preston face West Bromwich Albion, and whilst Preston's winning run has came to an end, 6 games in a row they won, they are still unbeaten in the whole 8 games that they've played. Like, 8 games unbeaten at the start of the season is brilliant, and the fact that it's Preston makes it even better because you wouldn't really expect it of a side like Preston. Look, no offence to them, I expected them to be around mid-table. You'd expect it of a Leicester or, one of the sides that's came down, someone like that, but Preston, fair play, 8 games unbeaten. It was a draw last time out against Rotherham. Bit of a surprise that was the game they didn't win, considering Rotherham are sitting in the relegation zone. But Preston are still unbeaten. Can they keep it going against the West Brom side that have only lost 1 in their last 7, but 3 draws in a row? Hasn't been great showing, not many goals. So I'm going to go for another draw here, 1-1. QPR against Coventry. Now QPR have drawn 2 in a row against Swansea and Blues. Coventry have drawn 5 out of their last 6, losing the other. But their last game was a draw, 1-1 against Huddersfield. Lots of draws in there. QPR drawing at the moment, so I am just going to go for it. A very, very boring 0-0. 2 teams with contrasting weeks, but the same amount of points in the end. Now Watford are facing Middlesbrough, and the Hornets, they beat Blues, drew with West Brom, and then lost to Leeds. Middlesbrough were the opposite. They lost to Blackburn, drew with Sheffield Wednesday, and then ended on a win against Southampton. Middlesbrough's first win of the season. I can't believe it took them 8 games to get their first win after finishing in the playoffs last year and Michael Carrick doing such a good job. But they finally got it, and it was against a team that's just came down, Southampton. So, big shock, but Southampton are on awful run of form at the moment. This game, now it's difficult to call because Watford are a bit inconsistent. Middlesbrough haven't been great all season but got their first win. So can Middlesbrough start pushing now? I think this should really have a draw written on it, but I am going to go for the home side Watford to get all 3 points in a 1-0 win. And finally, Sunday's game, Blackburn against Leicester. Now Blackburn have won 3, drawn 1, lost 4 this season, so quite inconsistent. They've lost 2 in a row, and even though they scored 3 against Ipswich, they couldn't get any points and lost it 4-3. Leicester, very good this season, won 7 out of 8, the other was a loss, but they've won 3 in a row. They very rarely concede, and when they do, it only tends to be 1 goal. So I've got to back the Foxes to win 2-0. And those are my predictions for this weekend's championship fixtures. Hopefully they are very enjoyable, and I hope Blues can get some more points on the board. I'd love to get another win. It feels like it's been a while since that last one. Make sure to like and subscribe, and up the Blues.